This is Optimal Startup Daily, episode 694. Help fight employee and executive burnout with self-care. And what is time culture? Both by Julie Morgenstern of juliemorgenstern.com. And I'm Dan. I am your host and narrator here, and today I'm going to share a couple of shorter posts with you. So let's get right to it and start optimizing your life. Help fight employee and executive burnout with self-care. By Julie Morgenstern of juliemorgenstern.com. Burnout is everywhere these days. Executive burnout, employee burnout. Almost 2 years into the pandemic, and burnout is hitting record levels according to recent research from McKinsey and Lean In. We've been traumatized. For the last 2 years, we've been through so much unexpected, shocking change. We changed the way we worked on a fundamental level with the sudden shift to remote working. After we learned how to effectively work remotely, we're called back into the office and relearning how to work in an office with COVID safety measures in place. With all of this uncertainty, change, and burnout, there are two questions that managers are asking themselves at the end of their long day. What can I do about it? And how can I do it without adding to my level of burnout? You're in a marathon, not a sprint. When you run a marathon, you need more than just water to recover. You need Gatorade, you need vitamin water, you need coconut water, you need electrolytes. Your body is depleted, and you need more than just plain H2O to refresh it. You and your employees are in the middle of a marathon and need more than just an evening or weekend off here and there to combat the levels of employee and executive burnout that are being experienced. Self-care. One of the worst trends that have come out of this remote working shift is the blurring of boundaries between work and home. Employees and executives feel pressure to show they're performing by responding to emails or taking meetings outside of the traditional 9-to-5 workday. They're working more hours to try and prove how dedicated they are in the absence of face time. The best way to fight burnout is to take more time for self-care. It's essential that you and your employees are able to have time in your lives where you can completely turn work off and walk away without consequences. Talk about it. As uncomfortable as it may be, it's important to start talking about the burnout that everyone is experiencing. By sharing your experiences, you encourage your employees to share theirs. Starting the conversation around burnout is the first step to helping everyone fight it. Let people know that they are not being judged or evaluated based on when they answer emails. Let people know that they can turn off their devices at the end of the traditional workday no matter where they are. Let people know that their evenings and weekends are theirs to do with as they please, and work will wait until Monday morning. Build trust. These conversations aren't going to go anywhere unless there's a culture of trust between you and your employees. When you say you're not being judged on when you respond to an email, you need to be able to articulate to your employees what exactly they will be judged or evaluated on. Giving employees the opportunity to tell you what they're getting done is a good way to build trust both ways. The employee trusts that you're not just giving lip service to work hours, and you're able to verify that employees are hitting their work goals. Model the behavior. This can be the hardest part for some executives. Help your employees fight their burnout by showing them how you're fighting your burnout. Tell them about the hike you're taking over the weekend. Tell them how nice it is to turn off your work devices at 6 p.m. Say goodbye on the group chat when you log off for the evening. Employees need to see you walking the walk in order to trust that they can as well. Now is the time. It's time to start rebuilding opportunities for renewal in our daily lives. This is not a problem with a one-and-done solution. This is a problem that requires changing our mindsets and changing our behaviors so that we can make a permanent shift. But don't worry, you will find the spark comes back for you, and the spark starts to come back for your employees. What is time culture? By Julie Morgenstern of juliemorgenstern.com. In this time of societal change, corporate leaders worldwide are struggling to reinvent their company culture. Basic elements of the workplace like where, when, and how we work are being reimagined as brands come to terms with our new work culture. One major concern across industries is maintaining corporate culture in a hybrid work environment. Workplace culture was traditionally forged by people working together under the same roof. What does that culture look like when people work remotely? As you're building a culture for the new workplace, I encourage you to think about your culture through the lens of time. Every company has a unique time culture, or a system of productivity that defines its daily operations. Interestingly, time culture usually emerges unconsciously. Your time culture reflects how people prioritize their time and get through their workloads. Learn more about time culture and see how this framework can optimize your company culture. How time culture forms. Time culture forms through subtle, subconscious processes. Before COVID, most companies didn't intentionally set processes, standards, and best practices to guide their time. The shift to remote work has caused major changes in every sector. However, it's also an opportunity to challenge norms and examine how we worked in the past. Rebuilding your company culture is a chance to reshape your brand's culture of time. Why time culture is vital. When you think about it, time is the oil in the machine of life. Anything your company wants to achieve requires time. Think of every project where you're investing employee resources. You want your employees to innovate, connect, build relationships, collaborate. Each of these tasks requires their valuable time. Time culture in the new workplace should guide how people use their time. Your brand should create an environment that encourages and enables staff to spend their time on their top priorities. If you don't explicitly build this framework, the resulting time culture will work against the mission, vision, values, projects, and initiatives you claim to value. How to examine your time culture. As you examine your current corporate culture, consider how you respect employee time. You should empower your team to focus on priorities, not leave them feeling trapped by busy work or wasted resources. Think about the following elements of time culture to find opportunities to improve. Meeting culture. Many global entities moved from meeting overload to meeting craziness during the height of COVID precautions. Rethink what requires a meeting. Determine which meetings are essential, what meetings need to remain in person, and which meetings can be held by video or phone, and what topics can be discussed by email or chat. Then build a company culture that observes your new meeting guidelines. Response culture. In the new workplace where many staff work remotely, response time can be a thorny subject. Set reasonable expectations for responding to emails, calls, texts, chats, and other pings. Don't expect immediate responses, even when staff is on the job. Your team may be busy on another task when you reach out. Renewal culture. Consider how your corporate culture treats time off and renewal time. Many employees blurred the lines between their personal and professional lives early in the COVID crisis. This reaction was a common crisis response, but continuing along these lines leads to burnout. Respect your team's personal lives and help them find renewal with healthy work-life boundaries. Nurturing a productive culture of time. The culture of time is one of your company culture's most essential components. Your culture of time can either support your employees to deliver the goods, achieve their goals, and find fulfillment as professionals, or it can diminish your team's efforts, inhibit their abilities, and leave them burned out and unsatisfied. Your team will thrive when you build a structure that empowers them to meet their goals. Don't forget about the culture of time as you rebuild your corporate culture for the new workplace. You just listened to the posts titled, Help Fight Employee and Executive Burnout with SelfCare, and What is Time Culture? Both by Julie Morgenstern of juliemorgenstern.com. And thanks to Julie, Julie Morgenstern is an organizing and productivity consultant, New York Times bestselling author, and speaker. For over 25 years, Julie has been teaching people all around the world and at all stages of life how to overcome disorganization to achieve their goals. She is the inventor of the inside-out approach to organization and the brain behind their services. She has a bunch of great articles and more on her website, which again is juliemorgenstern.com, so please do check that out, and a big thanks to Julie for letting us share her work. But that does it for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed the 2 posts from Julie, and that you have a great rest of your day and week, and I'll see you back here tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.